Psalms 40, starting at verse 1. It reads, I patiently waited for the Lord, and he inclined unto me and heard my cry. He brought me up also out of a horrible pit, out of the miry clay, and set my feet upon a rock, and established my goings. And he hath put a new song in my mouth, even praise unto our God. Many shall see it and fear, and shall trust the Lord. Psalm 40, verses 1 through 3. This is an awesome passage because here it establishes basically some benefits for if you trust God. But not any kind of trust, but a particular type of trust. It's the trust of patiently waiting. Waiting with patience. That's different because waiting itself, sometimes people think I'll just sit here and I'll just wait for somebody to do something. As I sit here, I'm waiting, time is passing, and because time has passed, I've waited. But the wait that the Bible refers to, especially when it's talking about God, is don't stop doing what you're responsible for doing, but have an expectation, if you will, for him to do his part when it's season, when it's time for him to do his part. And that's why the patience comes in. Because if you have no patience while you're waiting, you won't do what you're responsible for. Patiently waiting means that you don't backslide, that you don't go back to what you were doing before just because things aren't happening now. There's an old saying that goes in the church that says, he may not come when you want him, but he's always right on time. And we say that because God's timing, God's placement for provisions and for prosperity and for health and for the different things that we need to live this life are set for us, but we have to get to the time, to the place, and to the purpose that it's there for. Patiently waiting means going through with an expectation that because God said it, it is. See, when man says it, man is saying, this is what I have in my heart. This is what I'm thinking to be true. But when God thinks these things, they become a reality. For the thoughts of God are actions, while the thoughts of man are just visions and dreams, vapors that might be, depending on how they respond to them. So the Bible here in this first verse, and it's awesome because it says, I patiently waited for the Lord. I purpose in my heart to have an expectation that God will do what he said he will do. And it says, because I patiently waited, now he's going to bless me. The first benefit of patiently waiting, the spiritual benefit of patiently waiting, is that God, the maker of the heavens and earth, the ruler of the universe, the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end, the mighty great Father, the I am, he inclined himself toward me to hear my cry. He bent over. He lowered his position. He didn't become less, but he moved when he didn't have to move. When the king is on the throne, everyone comes to the king. It's not the king who gets up and goes to everyone, but God, the king of all, the king of kings, the Lord of lords, inclined himself. He bent down. He came down. Just like when he formed man from the dust of the earth, he knelt to form man. Just like when he wanted to save us, he came through 42 generations, wrapped himself in flesh, divested himself of his deity so that he could be the bridge of reconciliation for us back unto himself. God looked at me and looked at you, and as we patiently waited, he lowered himself. He humbled himself to hear us, to hear our cry. And when I say cry, I don't mean emotions. I don't mean boo-hoo, woe is me. I don't mean that, but we're talking about a cry that speaks of a need, a cry that speaks of a desire to do righteousness, a cry that aligns with the word and will of God. Because we're not talking about unbelievers here. We're talking about believers who patiently wait on the Lord, because you can't patiently wait if you're carnal and you're fleshly. But those who come unto his kingdom, those become his, now have a spiritual attribute of patience where they can wait. And because they can patiently wait, God inclines himself unto them and he hears their cry because it aligns with who he is. Now, the second benefit, it says, he brought me up also out of a horrible pit, out of miry clay. There are situations in our lives which we cannot escape from. They're like traps. They're like holes in the ground. So wide, we can't stretch across them. So deep, we can't climb out of them. So smooth, there's nothing to even get a grip on. Just like the pit that Joseph was put in, where they had to lower a rope to pull him out. There are situations in life which are like that for us, but God says that he will lift us up out of them. Not only that, but there's some situations where we're not trapped in a circumstance, we can still move, but moving seems like we're moving through quicksand. That's that murky, that how they say it, the miry clay. This is the stuff that sucks on your hand, sucks on your feet, sucks on whatever's in it, so that it's hard to move and transition. That as you put one foot down, you're trying to drag another foot out, and it seems like you seem to get deeper and bogged in it. But God said he would deliver us up out of these things. The financial debt, your relationship that dead end, the job where you're nothing but going around a merry-go-round of ins and out. But God says he will deliver you up out of that. But he won't leave you just up out. He will set you on a rock. Set you on a rock. That's the truth. That's the revelation. That's the principles of who he is. That's how he operates as in his kingdom. And when we're set on that rock, then he also establishes our going. He's not just going to leave you in one place on a rock where you're like on an island, but he establishes a path for you to go down. And this is just a benefit, the second benefit of waiting patiently. Now, the third benefit we talked about is that he has put a new song in my mouth. He's given me a joy, a pleasure, a contentment that just makes me want to make a new melody, makes me sing part of a harmony that can come together with others as we operate in unity in his name. He's given me a song of rejoicing, a song of victory, a song of overcoming that I can start releasing from my mouth. And this song is so good, so sweet, that it becomes a praise unto God. It's a praise of reflecting in how I act in my life. It's a praise in how I act in my relationship with others. It's a praise on my job. It's a praise in my school. It's a praise in my church. It's a praise wherever I am. But this praise is not just heard of people, but it's seen. Because the Bible says, and even a praise unto our God, many shall see it and fear and shall trust the Lord. This song that's in us, this joy that's in us, this contentment that's in us, that we're releasing upward is also being expressed outward, whereby others can see it. And when they see it, they're going to say, this is unusual. I don't know what this is. I'm a little scared of it. It's something I don't quite understand. But once that it becomes the norm around them, they get to understand it's part of who God is in our life, and they begin to trust it. And when they begin to trust it, they begin to trust the Lord. So the first benefit is having God respond directly to you. The second benefit is him delivering you up out of situations and setting you up so that you can go forward in your purpose and your task. The third benefit is that he gives you a song of praise, of joy, and it just changes who you are and how you operate within the kingdom, and thus it wins others over to him. God hears you, and he responds. God delivers you, and he sets you on the right path. God gives you joy and victory in your heart so that you sing a song and it's a praise unto him, and it wins others over. That could be your brother, your sister, your mother, your father, your son, your daughter. It could be a friend on the job or at school. But God gives us these three benefits when we wait patiently on him. Had a great time in service this morning, and we hope to see you here real soon.